What's up, 819S? Today headed out to Mount Fuji. So you can see right here, Fuji Hakone Izu National Park. I'm about to head to Fuji Skyline. I gotta watch out for deer. I want to give you a little bit update about my life and about the channel. So this is the entrance to Mount Fuji Skyline. Here it is, and it's very, very cloudy today, as you can see. I guess it used to be a pay road, but it's not a pay road anymore because the Google Maps lists this as an old toll booth. But recently, there's no toll booth or any collection gates or anything there. So today is like 90 degrees out in Sagamiono where I live. So I decided to head up to Mount Fuji. I wanted to climb a mountain. It didn't have to be Mount Fuji, but I wanted to go up in the mountains, and I remember it was so cool. In fact, I think it was cold last time I climbed. So here we are. This is the start. We have 12 kilometers to the top. So this is a very fun and twisty road. Let me tell you about what's been going on. So I haven't uploaded any videos to the channel in quite some time, and that's because I've been busy with a lot of things. From February, I started my new job. I like the company that I'm working for now, but it's an English teaching job again, and that's not really what I wanted to do, but I'm happy with it, and the students are happy, and the school seems to be satisfied with my performance, and everything seems to be going good. I'm making money, catching up on debt, doing all those things that I really need to get done. As of now, I'm working 6 days a week. I do have a flexible schedule. I can set it by myself, so 1 month in advance I can kind of set as many days off or as few days off as I want. That would probably clue some people into what company I work for, but I don't really want to say. Anyways, I'm working 6 days a week, and that gives me 1 day a week to enjoy life. That's Monday. Today is Monday. I try to go for rides on Mondays. My plan recently has been to go at least 100 kilometers away from my house, which is like, I forgot, like 80 miles or something. And I've taken trips to a lot of really interesting and fun places, and so far I've really been enjoying that. I've been shooting a lot of video, and this leads me to the second half of what I wanted to talk about. So even though I started at the job, I was job hunting for a computer programming job because that's actually the job that I want. I made a lot of contacts at a conference that I went to this year, and I followed up with one of those contacts and ended up getting a first job interview. First job interview was all Japanese. It was successful. Second job interview was a computer programming assignment, and that was all submitted online and electronically. That was successful also. Then the third interview I had on the 18th, and it was a total and complete flop. I knew it mid-interview that I had screwed it, basically. So it's a job computer programming, and it's for a Japanese company. Therefore, I can only speak Japanese at that job. There are no English-speaking people. The job interview was with the recruiter, 2 technical people, and then a manager. The recruiter asked me to introduce myself. I did. I was already starting to lose a little confidence because I don't think I did the best introduction that I could do, but I think it was sufficient. The first technical person asked me to talk a little bit about my computer background and what I did in my previous jobs in the United States and in university. So I told him about that. Again, I think it was successful. I felt slightly uncomfortable, but not like I completely failed it. And then the third guy, he asked me a question that was so fast and so complex that I have no idea, even now, in retrospect, I have no idea what he asked me. The second person, the one that asked me some fairly good interview questions, even turned to him and said, in Japanese of course, "Wasn't that Japanese incredibly difficult?" And then they all tried to rephrase the question, everyone in the room. And I kind of panicked and froze because I feel like this is the person that's going to be working with me a lot. Wow, is that a hawk? That is amazing. Yeah, that would be the guy that I'm working with on a day-to-day basis. And if I can't understand what he says, then I don't think I'm going to be able to work with him. And so the wheels just started spinning in my head that this job might not be right, I might not be able to do it, blah blah blah, and you know, panic sets in, and that was it. I couldn't form comprehensible sentences. At one point, as he asked a question that I did understand, but I was so panicked and frozen that I had no response, and just kept saying, "That's difficult to say," or "Let me think about that," or whatever. But ultimately, there was no answer. And when the third person who interviewed me, he was the manager. When he interviewed me, he asked a few really simple questions. I definitely got the feeling at that point that I wasn't even being considered for that job anymore. And yeah, they asked me if I had any questions. Of course I had a few prepared, but the question, 2 or 3 questions came out smoothly. The other questions, I think I just couldn't phrase, I couldn't word right. And so I asked a few questions that were curiosities of mine that were, how do I phrase it? Even now, I'm kind of panicking, but maybe it's because I'm trying to focus on what gear and stuff I need to be in. Yeah, I wanted to know some questions about how their system worked, but I think those weren't the right kind of questions for a job interview. I think they were for, like, if I had started the job, these are the questions I should ask. So I just wanted to ask something that was comprehensible. And the very next day, I got an email response. They said, unfortunately, they are not going to choose me. So I was, in the last few months, I was preparing for these interviews. I think it was a 2-month process from the first interview to the third interview. I was studying Japanese really, really hard. I was reviewing some programming concepts, doing a lot of computer programming, interview preparation stuff, but truth of the matter is, I did all that stuff in English. Excuse me. I did all that stuff in English, so I'm not sure, even though I may have reinforced the programming concepts that I needed to know, I'm not sure that really helped me. I probably should have pushed myself a little harder and reviewed that stuff in Japanese, even though some of that Japanese is a little bit beyond my level, and they were aware of that in the first interview too, so. Oh! Oh! Alright, I'm coming back down later, so I hope the view is the same. I'm above the clouds now. This is actually exactly what I'm hoping for, and it is so cool. The weather is so comfortable. I made a good choice coming to Mount Fuji, I think. Climbing Mount Fuji on your bicycle, man, that is awesome. That is hardcore. That's stamina training, endurance training. So I think at this point I have a ton of videos backlogged, like months and months of video backlogged, Some of it I think was kind of time sensitive. I should have edited it and put it up at the time, but I was really focused on programming and preparing for the interview and working on at my current job, right? So I put all the programming projects I was doing on hold because I was actually pretty hopeful to get this job. I was really depressed when I got the email that said no, but I sort of saw it coming. So to be totally honest, I was really depressed on the walk home from the station, from their office to the station, because I knew it right at that time. And that means I can continue with, wow, awesome. That means I can continue with, who would expect to see a purple charger on Mount Fuji? I can continue with some of the programming projects I was working on. In fact, I plan to sort of redesign and redo some of the things that I was working on because I have a lot better ideas, and now I just have to find the right time to finish implementing everything I want to do. And from now to, it's basically keep working at the job that I'm working at. I have 3 other contacts to get in touch with. It's a little late to start getting in touch with them because I met them several months ago, but I don't think it's completely inappropriate. 2 of the jobs I should be able to speak English at, but part of being in Japan is the fact that I want to be able to do it in Japanese. So I've actually, even though my interview was a flop, I've really buckling down on my Japanese and trying to make bigger progress. One of the other jobs is a huge international company with a big office in Japan, and I think that's the one, since I failed this first job interview, that's the one that I want to work at most. In fact, they have a wider range of iOS applications, so maybe my experience and my abilities will grow more at that company than they would at the first job that I wanted. But I've also got to practice doing interview questions in Japanese, so I need to practice with someone who works in IT, not with my wife or not with some friends, because they don't have the right knowledge for what IT recruiter is looking for. And I bought a new computer, so my 27-inch iMac broke last year. That's a hindrance to making videos. I prefer the bigger screen to the MacBook screen, but you know, it's a first world problem for sure. Since I have the new computer now, I will be able to do my edits a lot better. I have more screen real estate. It's 5K display, and this scene here should look crispy on that 5K display. I'm above the clouds. It's amazing. Alright, let's press forward. I'm almost at the top, or I'm almost at the 50% point. You can't climb to the top of Mount Fuji on a vehicle. So I'm going to post this one first. If you're watching it, that means I actually did, and that means I have a lot of stuff that's old, but I want to go through it all and edit and see what I can do. I have arrived at my destination. This is the 50% point, the halfway point of Mount Fuji. There is a shop and a cafeteria. take a look. I'm on top of the world. Okay, maybe no. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Ride safe.